Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
Well, we all the time have to stop and wonder what in the world is going on. Right now, we're facing a lot of talk, reports about hate speech, hate crimes. You know, when I was a kid, nobody even used those terms. We didn't know what all that meant. As a matter of fact, you didn't even hear those terms 10 years ago. Now, all of a sudden, it's come front and center. Now, what's the purpose behind all this? What's really going on here? This story comes out of Europe today. Dutch anti-Islam lawmaker faces hate speech trial. This comes from Amsterdam. Dutch lawmaker Geert Wilders sat in the defendant's dock Wednesday, nodding his head as prosecutors read aloud 100 remarks he has made condemning Islam, Muslims, and immigrants, notably one comparing the Quran to Hitler's Mein Kampf. Wilder's criminal trial for allegedly inciting hate against Muslims has resonance across Europe. He is one of a dozen right-wing politicians on the continent who are testing the limits of freedom of speech while voicing voters' concerns at the growth of Islam. Now, notice what it says. He is testing the limits of freedom of speech. Can you have limits on freedom of speech and have freedom of speech? There's a lot of speech I wish I never had to hear, but I'm very thankful for the right of the people to speak it. Because if you can limit what I speak, then tomorrow I may limit what you speak. There are people in this world today who want to control what everyone thinks and what they believe. And therefore they want to control what is allowed to be spoken and what is not allowed to be spoken. There are hateful words that I don't think people should ever say. When I was growing up, my parents didn't allow me to say shut up. They thought it was irreverent, they thought it was wrong, and it was just something you shouldn't say. And so I don't say those words to this day. I was taught those words are off limit. That's not good speech. But should there be a law in the United States of America which says that I can't say shut up or whatever else? Now, this is what we're facing because the number one anti-Christian law that was just passed this year was hate crimes concerning sexuality orientation. Now, that particular law has embedded in it the possibility that ultimately we will be told that we can't preach against homosexuality anymore. We're getting close to it right now. On many college campuses, if you spoke against homosexuality, they would throw you off of the campus. Now, I'm not even sure they should be able to do that because you're in the United States of America. But they are doing it nonetheless and at this time getting by with it. Well, Mr. Wilders has become quite well known because he's alarmed at what is happening in Europe. So should he be able to speak out against Islam and against certain Muslims? Let's see what he really says. It says Wilders may be best known for the 2008 short film Fitna, which offended Muslims around the world by juxtaposing Quranic verses with images of terrorism by Islamic radicals. The article goes on to say, I also do not intend to hurt people's feelings. I have nothing against Muslims. I have a problem with Islam and the Islamization of our country. Now listen to this carefully, because Islam is diametrically opposed to freedom. Islam is opposed to freedom? Is that true? Or is that false? You know, I'm afraid it's true. Most Islamic countries, they don't want women to drive. They don't want Christian churches. Christians and Jews are not allowed to pray on the Temple Mount where Islam is in control. So this is what he says. The reason I'm against Islam is because if they take over, freedom is gone.